Okay, thanks so much for joining us on the bright side. We're going to wind up our discussion on the amazing sugar-like structure, hyaluronic acid. Hard to say, but man, is that stuff important. One of the most important molecules in the body. This stuff is so amazing. It's something that we can use as a nutritional supplement. We can use it in foods. We can even put it topically on our skin. Many expensive skincare products have hyaluronic acid in them. You can make your own hyaluronic acid skincare products by cracking open a capsule and putting it in water and making your own little spray. You can use it on your hair, help moisturize your hair. You can put in a little bit of aloe, put in a little bit of apple cider vinegar. It makes a great toner for your skin, a moisturizing toner for your skin. Hyaluronic acid's most amazing property, most notable property is its ability to suck up water. A teaspoonful of dry hyaluronic acid can suck up to a gallon of water. That is amazing. That's a super sponge, folks. And this combination of water and hyaluronic acid creates a slimy gel-like structure that's got really interesting properties. For one thing, this gel-like hyaluronic acid structure is highly electrical. It can store electrical charges. It can emit electrical charges. And this electrical property makes the eyes and the blood vessels and the joints and the skin, all areas rich in hyaluronic acid, charged with electricity. Hyaluronic acid donates or imparts an electrical charge to the eyes, the blood vessels, the joints, the skin. And because healing is voltage, healing is electrical. Health is voltage. Health is electrical. This carrying and storing of electrical charges makes hyaluronic acid really important for healing of tissues. Wherever you find growing and dividing cells, as in healing wounds or healing cuts or post-surgical healing, or even in the embryo or even in the fetus, in the womb, wherever you find growing cells, healing cells, regenerating cells, you're going to find hyaluronic acid. After burns, after cuts, after surgery, hyaluronic acid supplements in the form of supplements that you can get off the internet or health food store, or in the form of cartilage that you can get in bone soup. That knobby white stuff at the top of a chicken leg, cartilage, is very rich in hyaluronic acid, and as you're making your bone soup, that hyaluronic acid will dissolve into your broth, into the liquid, and bone soup is in essence a hyaluronic acid beverage. This healing property of hyaluronic acid makes it really important for eye health. The tippy top of the eye is like a little screen. It's called the cornea. It's like a little plastic sheet that you put on top of your iPhone or your iPad or your tablet. It's like a screen protector for the eye, or maybe like a crystal on a watch. This little tiny thin area called the cornea, it's maybe about the thickness of 5 or 6 pieces of notebook paper. It's super thin, it's transparent. We don't really think too much about the cornea, but the cornea is really important, really important structure. It's loaded with nerve endings. In fact, there's more nerve endings in the cornea than there are anywhere else in the body, and no surprise, the cornea is very rich in hyaluronic acid. Now, you don't really think too much of your cornea. Most people don't, unless, of course, you're having LASIK surgery. LASIK surgery is basically a remodeling of the cornea using a laser. Or if you have a wound or a tear in the cornea. In fact, there's a lot of problems that are associated with a messed up eye screen or messed up cornea. One of the worst things that can happen to your cornea is herpes of the eye, ocular herpes. It's difficult to think of a more miserable thing to happen to your body than having a herpes infection in the cornea. The cornea bends light. If you have a defect in the cornea, it can create astigmatisms, or you can have various dystrophies, changes in growth in the cornea. There's a disorder called Fuchsian dystrophy. It varies. There's probably about 20 or so different weird corneal dystrophies that you can have. Most people don't think of their corneas unless they have a corneal problem. Fortunately, because the cornea is so thin, it can heal really quickly. In fact, the cells that live on the surface of the cornea are among the fastest turning over cells in the body. They're like skin cells in a lot of ways. In fact, they're pretty much the same cell type as skin cells. Cornea cells are living on the extreme outermost part of the body. So they're damaged really fast, and they're replaced really fast. And they're processing lots of electrical energy in the form of light. And on top of that, the cornea, because it's so thin and literally on the outermost part of the body, would be prone towards water loss from evaporation into the environment. And these are all places where hyaluronic acid can come to the rescue. Hyaluronic acid can help the cornea in its transmission of light. Hyaluronic acid is super electrical. Hyaluronic acid is important for wound healing, for helping corneal cells regenerate. And hyaluronic acid, because of its water trapping properties, can help keep the cornea moist and keep water from evaporating out into the environment. So it should be no surprise that the cornea is loaded with hyaluronic acid. Corneal cells make their own hyaluronic acid, as do other parts of the eye. Hyaluronic acid, because of its electrical properties, because of its ability to manipulate and process electrical energy, is really supportive of the electrical energy that comes in the form of light. It's super important for cell growth, so it can support healing and regeneration of these hard-working and fast turning over corneal cells, short-lived corneal cells. And because hyaluronic acid is such an amazing water trapping sponge, it can help keep the cornea moist, even at the extreme evaporation, even preventing the evaporation evaporation of water that can be caused by the fact that the cornea is located at the extreme outermost part of the body. All this is to say, before and after any corneal surgery, after LASIK, before any surgery, before if you have any kind of wounding on the eye, if you have a herpes outbreak on the eye, make sure you're getting some supplemental hyaluronic acid. Make sure you're taking hyaluronic acid supplements if you have any kind of eye wounding or eye surgery. All right, we'll continue this discussion when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for joining us today. We're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific, and 10 to 11 Central Time, 24/7 on our archive page at brightsideben.com. You'll find a Join the Team link that you can click on if you want to start a longevity business for a one-time $10 fee. You can have your own business, make some money selling longevity products, and help spread the word about the power and the importance of a good nutritional supplement program. You can also purchase any of the products that you hear us advertise on the program at brightsideben.com, or you can call the Brightside Ben phone team at 866-735-2470. Our number today, our number every day on the Bright Side is 855-660-4261. We do have a couple lines open and try to get on board early so we can get to as many calls as possible. For you guys living out in the Texas area, I'll be in Wichita Falls, Texas, doing a talk for a longevity talk. I think, let me see here, January 18th. In Wichita Falls, and then the next week I'll be in Austin, Texas at Brave New Books, and that would be on the 23rd of January. 23rd of January in Austin, and then the 18th of January in Wichita Falls. If you're out in Texas, in the Texas area, I know we have a lot of Texas listeners. I'd love to see you. Come by and say hello. Let's see what else I could tell you. Check out my blog, pharmacistben.com. We update it regularly. Got news stories, got blog posts up as well at pharmacistben.com. And that's it, I guess. Let's just continue talking here about HA, hyaluronic acid. If you have any eye surgery planned, LASIK surgery, corneal surgery, or if you just have a wound or just for anti-aging of some kind, or if you want a anti-aging supplement of some kind, get yourself on HA, get yourself on hyaluronic acid, 100 milligram dose. You can also make your own HA with the raw materials that you'll get in the glucogel caps. HA, hyaluronic acid, is partially composed of a type of glucosamine. We'll be talking about that here in a little bit. Glucosamine is found in the glucogel caps. That means the glucogel caps, everybody knows about that for arthritis and joint problems, but because HA can be made from some of the raw materials in the glucogel caps, your glucogel caps can help you with your circulatory system, help build strong blood vessels. It can help you with eye health. It can help with skin health as well, help prevent wrinkles, all because the raw materials in the glucogel caps can be used by the body to make hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid levels are super tightly regulated because it's so important for cell growth and division. It basically signals cell growth and cell division. So cells that divide excessively, like cancer cells, can be associated with elevated levels of hyaluronic acid. And hyaluronic acid can be used by cancer cells to kind of slime their way, to metastasize, to spread to other parts of the body. Certain nutritional deficiencies are associated with excessive high hyaluronic acid production, especially zinc deficiency. Zinc deficiency is linked to excessive HA production. Just another reason why you want to be on 50 milligrams of zinc picolinate every day. And by the way, when you're taking your zinc supplements, which everybody should be taking, it's hard to get enough zinc from foods, unless you're eating a lot of oysters or a lot of liver. If you're taking zinc picolinate supplements, which I recommend, make sure you take 2 to 4 milligrams of copper with your 50 milligrams zinc picolinate supplement. Zinc supplements or zinc can actually cause copper deficiencies if you start to take zinc. Zinc and copper have an antagonistic relationship, and the more zinc you take, the more your body will tend to excrete copper. So when you're supplementing with zinc, make sure you're taking copper. 50 milligrams of zinc in the picolinate form, and then 2 to 4 milligrams of copper chelate or copper glycinate is a good place to be. Elevated estrogen levels can cause problems with high hyaluronic acid. Estrogen replacement therapy, hormone replacement therapy for ladies who are taking supplemental or prescription estrogen can run into issues with excessive high hyaluronic acid production. In fact, that's one of the supposed benefits of estrogen replacement therapies. You make more high hyaluronic acid. However, you don't want to be making too much high hyaluronic acid. Magnesium deficiency is associated with a deficiency in high hyaluronic acid production, and magnesium deficiency is also, perhaps not coincidentally, associated with fibromyalgia and other connective tissue or muscle tissue diseases. Cigarette smoke can have a negative effect on HA, high hyaluronic acid synthesis, and that may be one of the reasons that cigarette smoke initiates cancers and carcinogenesis because of its negative effect on high hyaluronic acid synthesis. And of course, the most famous and the most well-known place where high hyaluronic acid is involved in the body's health is in the skin. Its water-trapping properties make it a prized skincare ingredient, perhaps one of the most prized, maybe the most prized of all the natural skincare ingredients. Now, you'll find high hyaluronic acid in really expensive eye creams and expensive moisturizing products, but high hyaluronic acid's real moisturizing role is way, way down in the lower levels of the skin, where its moisture-trapping properties help keep the dermis, which is the lower part of the skin, plump and wrinkle-free. If you have a problem with wrinkles or thinning skin, you don't have a surface problem, you got a lower skin problem, a dermal skin problem. That means you can put all the high hyaluronic acid on the surface of your skin, but you're not necessarily going to help your own high hyaluronic acid production in the lower levels of the skin. Around half of the HA in the body, about half of the high hyaluronic acid in the body is found in the skin, but it's located in the deeper, more inaccessible layers of the skin, the dermis, the lower levels of the skin. That's why high hyaluronic acid in skincare products and creams and in lotions is not really going to have an effect on your own high hyaluronic acid. In other words, you're not going to be doing anything to thicken and beef up the dermis with topical high hyaluronic acid. And you're not going to be helping your wrinkles with topical high hyaluronic acid. However, what topical HA will do in a cream or in a lotion or in a spray is it will soften the dead skin cells on the surface with the moisture that's trapped in the high hyaluronic acid structure. So if you're using a high hyaluronic acid containing skincare product, a moisturizing cream or lotion or eye cream, make sure you're using it on damp skin. After you wash your face or after you tone your skin, when you have some moisture on the skin, if you put your high hyaluronic acid containing product on top of that moisture, the HA can trap the moisture and you can get more hydration effects on the skin, on the cells on the skin surface. In addition to the skin and the joints and the connective tissue, the eyes, as we say, are especially dependent on high hyaluronic acid. In fact, the prefix hyalo, H-Y-A-L-O, is actually the Greek word for the clear fluid in the eyes where high hyaluronic acid was first discovered. There's high hyaluronic acid in the tears. There's high hyaluronic acid in the retina. I said there's high hyaluronic acid in the cornea. High hyaluronic acid's water-trapping and water-pulling properties are perfect for keeping the eyes moist. You can actually get contact lens solutions that are made with high hyaluronic acid. You can get high hyaluronic acid in tears or artificial tears. where the hyaluronic acid and liquid can help act as a water sponge to keep dry eyes moist. And, of course, the electrical properties of hyaluronic acid make it important for light transmission. The eyes are processing immense amounts of light energy, of electromagnetic energy, and hyaluronic acid can be helpful here as well. Dehydration of the eyes can contribute to all kinds of eye problems. Cataract formation, macular degeneration can be linked to dehydration of the eyes. If you have Sjogren's syndrome, that can be a miserable condition. Even if you just have plain old dry eyes, taking hyaluronic acid supplements or using hyaluronic acid eye drops can be helpful for keeping your eyes moist. You can drink all the water you want, but if you don't have enough hyaluronic acid, you're not going to be able to trap that water. And this is one of the reasons why just simply drinking water doesn't always help people who have dry eyes or dry skin or any kind of dehydration condition. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. Our number is 855-660-4261. We'll be back right after this. We are back on The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for being here, folks. Our number is 855-660-4261. If you want to purchase any of the longevity products you hear us talk about on the program, you can call the Bright Side Ben phone team at 866-735-2470, or you can head over to brightsideben.com and click on the Buy Now link and check out our shopping cart. Make sure you take a look at my personal favorite longevity product, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine Multivitamin Mineral Complex Powder, loaded with fatty vitamins A, D, E, and K, your water-soluble vitamins, the B complex, vitamin C. It's got amino acids, inositol, copper, chromium, potassium. Truly a cornucopia of nutrition for just $50 a canister. Most folks will notice results within 1 or 2 doses, lower blood pressure, appetite suppression, weight loss, just feeling better. For $50 a canister, if you haven't tried it yet, give it a shot. You'll find out all about it on my website, brightsideben.com, or the Brightside Ben phone team can tell you all about it at 866-735-2470. We'll get to your phone calls here in just a second. I want to just wind down a couple of things about HA. Tomorrow I'll tell you about, on our next program anyway, I'll tell you about the building blocks of hyaluronic acid, which can be important for the liver, for detoxification, as well as for the digestive system. A couple more things I just want to tell you about here, and then we'll get to your phone calls. You can drink all the water you want, as I was saying before our break, but if you can't trap the water, it doesn't do you a lot of good. That's why you want to drink your water with hyaluronic acid supplements. Drink 8 glasses or 6 to 8 glasses of water a day, but make sure you're getting enough hyaluronic acid through diet and through supplements. 100 milligrams a day is a good supplemental dose. Make sure you're eating lots of veggies. Make sure you're using Longevity's glucogel caps, the Z-Radical, the noni juice. These are all good sources of long-chain sugars, not just hyaluronic acid, but long-chain water-trapping sugars that can keep your skin moist, your eyes moist if you have dry eye syndrome, or help keep your joints moist as well if you're dealing with arthritis or joint disease. Bone soup is a great way to get hyaluronic acid, which gets dissolved in the watery broth over time out of the cartilage. That's what slow heat and acidification with apple cider vinegar or lemon or lime juice will do for you. Animal cartilage and animal joints contain nature's richest and densest source of hyaluronic acid. If you simmer your bones long enough in water and you acidify the water a little bit, it'll all come out in your soup. You're not going to get hyaluronic acid in plants or vegetation, but you can get hyaluronic acid-like sugars, similar sugars. I shouldn't say that. You'll get sugars, long-chain sugars. They're not going to be like hyaluronic acid, but you'll get long-chain sugars in plants and vegetation. And, of course, you can get the building blocks for making hyaluronic acid from ocean vegetation. Anything that's exposed to a lot of water, like seaweed or algae, is going to have a high concentration of the 8 essential sugars. And from those 8 essential sugars, you can build your own hyaluronic acid. Okay, our next program, we'll talk about the building blocks of HA, then we'll talk a little bit about seaweed and fucoidan. I love fucoidan, man. That stuff is amazing. I'll tell you all about it on our next program as we continue talking about peptides and proteins and eye health, and then we'll get to glutathione, which is perhaps the most important of the body's detoxifying substances as we continue our discussion on protein on the bright side. Our number is 855-660-4261. We do have a line open for you. If you want to give us a call, let's take our first phone call of the day. Benjamin in Texas. Welcome to the bright side. What's up, buddy?
Hi, Pharmacist. I was just wanting to comment on I've heard you and Dr. Walden speak, and I love you guys. It's changing my life.
Thank you.
But y'all mentioned how we feed our dogs better than humans, and that you can totally make sense of that once you explain it in your talks. And I was thinking, why isn't there, or is there a, dog food for humans? Not dog food that humans can eat, but a croquet or something.
Like a food that has absolutely everything in it.
Everything, yeah. I want to get rid of my gluttony. Like, I don't want to think, oh, what do I want to eat? What do I want to taste? I just want to consume what my body needs and go out to eat every once in a while, like treat myself, but not make it I want to escape all of that.
One complete food that has absolutely everything. Is that what you're asking for?
Yes.
That would be a good idea, I suppose, but it would have to be a processed food. And once you start processing foods, you run into some problems. I don't know of any complete food. The most complete food is probably seaweed, algae, ocean products. The ocean, actually, you know what? Algae pretty much is a complete food. Unfortunately, you can't eat a lot of algae. You'd have to eat pounds of it to really get what you need in terms of caloric intake. I'll start working on it. That's all I could tell you. But algae, if you want a complete food, the most complete food, I'm sitting here racking my brain here while I'm talking to you. The most complete food I can think of is seaweed and algae that has absolutely everything. It's got amino acids, it's got vitamins, it's got the electrolytes, it's got all your minerals. Eat seaweed, eat algae, and then throw in some fish to make sure you're getting some good peptides and proteins out of it as well. You're not going to get protein in algae, but you'll get the building blocks for protein. And that would be, that's probably the closest you can get. But it's a good thought. Thank you for sharing that, Benjamin, and good luck. And if you do find a food like that, let me know. I'd love to hear what you found out. Okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you, buddy. God bless. Have a happy holidays and a happy New Year as well. All right, Ed in Pennsylvania, welcome to the Bright Side. Our number, by the way, 855-660-4261. We do have a couple lines open for you. Ed, what's going on, my man?
Hey, Ben. I've been following Dr. Wallach for 20 years now. I know this stuff works.
Nice.
But, I just met a young girl, 43 years old, and she has a vascular necrosis.
Necrosis? Did you say?
Necrosis, yes.
That's not a good thing. That means death. Necrosis is dying tissue. So she's got her circulatory system, her blood vessels are dying for some reason. Did she say what's going on?
It's in her hip, and the doctor...
She has that avascular. You mean avascular necrosis?
Avascular, yeah.
Okay, that's a bone necrosis. That's a decaying of the bone. And that usually has to do with the fact that the bone isn't getting blood supply. Does she have any? She doesn't have just that. She's got to have some other stuff going on. Is she overweight or diabetes or anything like that?
No.
Or do you know her?
No. I just met her. No, she's not overweight. She's not diabetic. She was very athletic when she was younger.
Well, that's not always a good thing if you're not taking care of
diet.
Well, it probably it always has something to do with diet. Avascular necrosis. Whenever you hear the word necrosis, think death. Avascular necrosis is death of bone tissue because there's no blood that's getting into the bone tissue, a lack of blood supply that's getting into the bone. So a couple of things that you want to think about. First of all, what's going on with the circulatory system, that there's no blood getting into the area, and you're usually going to find some kind of blood sugar problem. I'd be looking at diabetes or pre-diabetes first and foremost. You may also want to always look at the digestive system, things that are getting into the blood inappropriately. The best thing you could do for this gal is, number one, look for other symptoms so we can kind of put together a picture of what's happening in her body. Avascular necrosis is like a symptom, but it doesn't really tell you what's happening in the body. So we want to put together a constellation of various symptoms so we can form a picture. It's like I always say, you got to have a bunch of points. You got to have a lot of sample points so you can create a picture. If you have a canvas and you have a one dot in the middle of the canvas, that doesn't tell you anything. But if you start to have multiple dots, you can kind of form a picture of what's happening in the body. So you need to get multiple dots, multiple points of dysfunction that are going on inside the body so we can form a picture. But if you want just a general rule, digestion and blood sugar are the first two places to look at. I'd be working with any kind of easy to absorb nutritional supplements first, liquid nutritional supplements like the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Bone Soup, the OsteoFX and the OsteoMag, liquid magnesium and liquid calcium can be helpful as well. If she does have any digestive problems, and she probably does, then using things like the Z-Radical to help coat the digestive system. By the way, the Z-Radical also has some good blood circulatory system benefits too. Hang on, Ed, we'll finish up when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back right after this. All right, we are back on the bright side talking to Ed in Pennsylvania. Ed, your friend with avascular necrosis. Ed, you there, buddy?
Yes, I'm here, Ben.
All right, so you're basically looking at dead bone cells, and that's secondary to a lack of blood supply. So a couple of things that you want to think about. Why is blood not getting into the bone? First thing is blood sugar issues and insulin issues. How old did you say your friend was?
43.
You know? Okay, yeah, chances are real good that she's dealing with some blood sugar problems. That's first and foremost. I'd be doing all the things we do for blood sugar. Chromium, vanadium, magnesium, staying away from the fast-burning sugar foods, cereals, and breads and pastas, those kinds of things. Again, you got to find a bunch of symptoms to really pinpoint exactly the exact mechanism of what's happening here. By the way, we haven't talked about bisphosphonate drugs, Fosamax and Boniva and those kinds of drugs that they use for osteoporosis. But one of the big problems with these drugs is avascular necrosis, except it's avascular necrosis that occurs in the jaw area. So drugs can do it, prescription drugs can do it, and then, of course, if you have any digestive issues, those need to be corrected. Before we went to break, I was telling you about the fucoidin and the Z-radical. That can be helpful for improving the circulatory system health. The B vitamins are always important for circulatory system health, as is the vitamin C. Get your friend on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, in addition to the Biolumin Nightly Essence and all the digestive support nutrients that we talk about here in the program. Most importantly, you want to consider the avascular necrosis not as a single disease state pathology breakdown that's occurring independent of anything else. Like it's not just hanging there in the middle. It's connected to a whole bunch of other dysfunctions. And until we find out what those other dysfunctions are, it's hard to put together a picture of what exactly is happening into the body. So I would be just using all of the generic kinds of health aids, health tools that we talk about on the program, the BTT and the Z-radical and the digestive support, as well as supporting the blood sugar and insulin system in the body. Does that make sense, Ed?
I'm going to record this off the archives and let her listen to it, and I want to get her brain working on it, and then maybe she can give you a call.
Love that, and if you want to shoot me an email, ben@ksco.com, make sure you put on there Ed in Pennsylvania, and then have her send me an email. Make sure she puts friend of Ed in Pennsylvania with her phone number, and I'll get back to her and we can talk personally. Ben@ksco.com. King Sam Cat Oscar. .com. I do get a ton of emails, but if you put in there, or if she puts in there, friend of Ed in Pennsylvania, I'll make sure I get to it. Okay, Ed?
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, man.
Thanks, buddy. All right. Happy New Year, and God bless you. All right, let's see here. Who is next on the line? Sam in New Jersey. Welcome to the bright side. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Ben. How are you? Can you hear me all right?
I hear you great. How you doing, man?
All right, thanks. I wanted to ask you about serapeptase. I remember I asked you a couple months ago, and I was wondering, did you get a chance to take a look at it? Because
I've known about serapeptase. I don't know if I got an email from you, but I've known about serapeptase for a long time. Serapeptase is an enzyme. It's a great enzyme. They market it as an enzyme for dissolving blood clots and inflammation. All proteolytic enzymes will do this. Proteolytic means protein dissolving. Lysis or lytic refers to dissolving, proteo for protein. So you can use any proteolytic enzyme to help dissolve fibroids if you have fibrocystic breasts, or fibroids in the uterus, if you have blood clots or any kind of wounding. The body will produce excessive fibers when it's under stress. So if you're dealing with any kind of fibroid issues or clotting issues, you're probably dealing with some kind of stress issue. And I'm not talking emotional or mental stress, although that certainly can contribute. I'm basically referring to physiologic stress, either from blood sugar problems or from digestive problems or from thyroid or adrenal problems. And this is one of the ways the body responds generically to stress. So if you have fibroids, you have clots, think injury, think stress, think wounding, think protection. It can be related to excess estrogen, which is a stress hormone. It can be related to excess serotonin, which is involved in the stress response. Basically, when you have clotting and clogging, you want to think about the stress response. What's getting into the body, or what kind of blood sugar changes are occurring that is making this stress response, is initiating the stress response. Proteolytic enzymes can be a way that you can handle these fibroids and these blood clots, but as long as you have the underlying stressor, whatever that may be, you're going to have more fibroids. So using serapeptase may relieve fibroids temporarily, but it's not curative. It's a great product, though, and of course it's also going to help you digest food if you take your serapeptase with protein foods, but all proteolytic enzymes can do this. And if you listen to this program, I'm a big believer in the Ultimate Enzymes and the Biolumin Nightly Essence, both of which contain these protein-dissolving enzymes. But serrapeptase is a protein-dissolving enzyme as well, and a pretty darn good one. By the way, serrapeptase comes from the silkworm, and it actually is used as a drug in Japan, as well as I think in Europe too, although here we call it a dietary supplement. So serrapeptase, and by the way, digestive enzymes are used as medications in Europe and in Japan as well. So we're the only country, I believe, that doesn't use digestive enzymes as drugs. We use them as dietary supplements, but they can be very helpful. Does that help you, buddy?
Yeah, that was good. I appreciate that.
Anything?
I don't know if I used the right email for you. Ben@sto.com or Bright.
Yeah, but I get so many, Sam, and I'm not that. I can't respond to everybody. There's no way. But if you put Sam in New Jersey up there, that'll get my attention. Ben@ksco.com. K for King, S for Sam, C for Cat, O for Oscar. Ben@ksco.com. All right, buddy. Thanks so much for your call, Sam. Appreciate it. Happy holidays and a happy new year. Let's see if we can get a couple more calls in. Jacob in Ohio, welcome to the bright side.
Hi, Ben, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's going on, Jacob?
Hey, man, so I've been taking my 90s since March 2012, getting my 10 good food, bad food set up, and I've got that down. And I've lost about 75 pounds since then.
Awesome. Nice, man. Since March, you've lost 75 pounds?
Yep.
That is awesome. Give me just a couple of things that you're doing, like specific things that you're doing.
Well, I started off with the HCG diet, and then I learned about the ASAP,
okay,
which was much better. And,
okay.
Just pretty much follow that plan. Just go for a walk every day. I never really even exercised, you know what I mean? So, never had to do any of that.
Did you find that you're less hungry when you started? You're supplementing, I take it, the Beyond Tangy and the Mighty 90, right?
Yep.
Did you find that you're less hungry?
Yep.
That's the most important thing.
Hungry.
That's the most important thing. That's the best way to lose weight, is just to naturally gravitate away from food without having to fight, without having to diet, by getting yourself on the Mighty 90. Thanks so much for sharing that. Do you have a question or anything?
Yeah, I had a question. I still have a little bit of weight I'd like to lose.
Okay.
And I was curious about, about the process of intermittent fasting?
I love it. Alternate day fasting,
okay.
Intermittent fasting, yes.
I know that can go a long way as far as fat loss, because I've seen some of my friends do it, and I was wondering, could I use the ASAP and intermittent fasting
Sure.
to help the
Yeah, the ASAP is not going to... Absolutely, you can. The ASAP is just kind of a little bit of nutrition in there. You can use the ASAP with intermittent fasting. By the way, for the listeners, intermittent fasting is when you take random days off from food. You don't fast every other day, or you don't fast every third day. You just once in a while. And that way your body doesn't really know when it's going to not have food. So what it tends to do when it's not sure when it's going to be lacking food is it starts to build muscle really quickly. In fact, for bodybuilders and weightlifters and athletes, intermittent fasting is a great anabolic strategy. So your body will tend to burn fat and to turn the energy into muscle if it has the raw materials to do it. If it doesn't know when it's not going to have food, if you surprise the body with intermittent fasting, like you'll fast maybe one day a week the first week, and then 2 days a week the next week, and then you skip a couple of weeks from fasting, and then the third week you fast a day, and you kind of mix it up. The body won't know when it's going to not have food, and it will tend to start to secrete growth factors and muscle building factors, and it will burn fat much more readily. So intermittent fasting is a wonderful, wonderful strategy for building tissue, for recovery from surgery, for weightlifters and athletes, and for losing weight as well. And to answer your question, Jacob, yes, indeed, you can use the ASAP on the days that you're fasting, and I do recommend that everybody fasts periodically. Thanks for your call. Appreciate it. Any other questions, bro?
I just want to say, man, thanks for having this radio show, and I listen to hours of your lectures. I love it, man.
Awesome.
Downline, you're awesome. Thanks.
Thank you, Jacob. Appreciate it. Happy holidays, bro. Thanks so much for the kind words. I appreciate it. All right, Rose, real quick. We got about a minute. What's going on? Rose.
Hi there. I'm sorry. Yeah, I have a few questions, so I may email you on the Rose, okay?
Okay. Make sure you put on there Rose at ben@ksco.com. But I'd love it if you could call so we could share the information with all the listeners. But either way, send me an email or call. Thanks so much, Rose. Got to move, and happy holidays to you. Appreciate your support.
Bye.
All right. Take care. All right, that's all the time we have for today. Next program will continue. We'll finish up talking about hyaluronic acid. I'll tell you about the building blocks of hyaluronic acid that are important for liver detoxification for you guys using prescription drugs. Hyaluronic acid, via its building block components, can be a great way to detoxify your body, in addition to, of course, getting all the wonderful benefits for skin and for eyes and for joints and for connective tissue and for your blood vessels as well. By using 100 milligrams a day of hyaluronic acid and getting on those glucogel caps, which will help to build your own hyaluronic acid. That's all the time we have for today. Check out my website, brightsideben.com, my blog, pharmacistben.com. Get yourself on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, folks, this year. Make it a New Year's resolution to get on the BTT. Check it out for yourself. You can find out all about it.